Hi everybody, Adam at Dynamic Therapy. Hope you're all doing well. This is the third and final video on the theme of change. Today we're going to be looking at this cycle of change. This is a model that's been around since I think 1983, brought out by Pacheska and de Clement, and it's been proven to be a very effective model in identifying where people are in their mind processes and their behaviours as they go through the stages to reach change. So the cycle of change is there for people to make long, sustainable and positive changes in their lives. It's a model that is used in all sorts of areas. So in life coaching, it's brought out for people that are looking to change their fitness or their lifestyle or their diet routines, or it's people that are also in addiction. On the subject of addiction, if you have got an addiction or you feel that you have a dependence upon anything opioid based, as in heroin or medication that's got opiates within it, or you have an addiction to alcohol, firstly, well done on identifying that you feel that you need to make a change in your life. It will make a difference to you. But before you do that, please get in contact with a specialist in the form of a support agency, an addiction counsellor, a doctor, before you take those steps to make that change. Going cold turkey from opioids or from alcohol can have very dire effects. So please get in contact with somebody first in order to make sure that you can also be medically supported as well as psychologically supported. So we're now going to move through what the changes are that we process as a result of going through this cycle of change. And we're going to now take a look at the model.
This is the cycle of change model. As you can see, there are 7 parts to it. And what I'm going to do is move through each part one by one, just so we can get a grasp of what each point means. So the first point that we're going to be reaching is the pre-contemplation stage. And this is actually a stage where we're in a state of denial, or the situation that may change in the future is certainly not something that we've got awareness of at the moment to be a problem. So pre-contemplation, that can stay for a long time for us, or we can sit in that for an extended period of time where we feel that nothing needs to change. It may then get to a point where awareness starts to form, or we'll be in the contemplation stage then. As we're in the contemplation stage, we're sort of going through mixed emotions about how we're feeling about either quitting or changing our situation. And this, again, is something that we sort of trying to address and working out if we want to move forwards or stay where we are. If you do want to move forwards, this is where we're really starting to have like a forward-thinking approach, and we step into the preparation stage. Within the preparation stage, we're going to be working out what we need and what resources are available to us in order to start making changes in our life. And this is where we may consider looking for agencies that can support us in some way. And then we're looking at the actions that we're going to take as a result of preparation. What plans we put in place, and how are we now going to be doing that? What steps are we putting in place for ourselves to be working towards our goal? And again, this could be taking quite a while, and it could be many steps, and sometimes it's not going to work. But this is where we're really starting to take form. And then once we've put these steps in place, and it's at a point where we want it to, we're then at a very vital stage of maintenance. And when we're maintaining something, this has got to be something not taken for granted, and something that actually we put on day after day, week after week, and we don't let it slip. The standards we set ourselves aren't lost. Occasionally, though, we are going to slip up. We are going to fall back into our old ways, and these things will creep up on us. This is called a lapse. So this is something that we then have to return back to the actions that we initially took, and within that, we're then putting things back into place so we can move back into the maintenance stage again. But also with a lapse, if it continues and then we have many lapses, that's what's considered to be a relapse. And that's a distinct difference, because a lapse is just a slip up, whereas a relapse is a continuation of the old habits or the old behaviours that we had before.
So now we've had a look at the model of the cycle of change. Is there anything that you look at in there and you think, I've got so far before and I've not quite reached the goals I wanted it to? It's so important that when we're putting ourselves in that model, that we identify what hasn't worked for us in the past. Number one thing to realise, though, with sustainable change is that you have to do an analysis at the beginning to determine, is the benefit of the change you're going to make going to outweigh the circumstance that you're in now? If it's not, then potentially you're not ready to change at the moment, or potentially you're looking at a situation where you are not looking at the right change in the first place. The change has to be at the right time for you, not for anybody else. The plan must be yours also. So when you're in the preparation stage, you need to be working out how you're going to be attaining your goal. It can't come from anybody else. It has to come from you. Even if it's a plan that you have a look at and you see, you have to agree with every single part of it, and you have to passionately believe in your plan. Otherwise, if there's parts of that plan that you don't necessarily agree with, you're then facing a situation where there's going to be a potential weakness. And when we look at weaknesses in the cycle of change, they're highlighted as lapses and unfortunately relapses also. The drive and motivation just has to come from you, nobody else. So it's all very easy when stuff's going on and life's getting bad in some way, that people around you will try and put on you that you need to change. They're doing that normally because it's coming from a good place and they want the best for you, and they can probably see a situation better than you can yourself because you're in the eye of the storm. It's not necessarily going to be something though that you're going to be able to be quite comfortable with. The change has to be on your terms and at the right time for you. To change with a need to change is not enough, unfortunately. Lots of people in very bad situations, such as drug addiction and alcohol addiction, know that the situation that they are in is bad and they need to change. They know that, but they haven't necessarily got the want and the drive at that time to change. It's about being compassionate to that and understanding that. You may be getting grief from a partner or getting problems from whoever it is that's putting these pressures on you. I've worked in addiction counselling for quite a while, and the amount of people that come through the doors that I try to support, especially in the beginning, I used to get so frustrated when they didn't want to change, and they were there because basically they were getting grief from their partner saying and giving them the ultimatum, if you don't change then all this is over. They were still likely to lapse and to relapse because the drive wasn't there for them at that time. All they were being given was an ultimatum. They weren't being given any sort of payoff as a result of the change. It was just being told, don't do it or else. The change and the benefit has to be to something of real positivity, and the goal has to be golden. You have to look at it and think, this is going to be bloody amazing if I make this change. And that's so important as well, not just in addiction, but also in when we look at people who want to change by losing weight or want to change their lifestyle in some way. Setting yourself a weight goal can be quite counterproductive sometimes, because you'll get to that weight goal and then you're at a situation, a crossroads, where you think, oh, is that enough? How am I going to maintain this? Is it going to be something that I struggle with more? People who set weight loss goals set themselves to such a sort of a discipline and a regiment that they can set themselves up to fail as well, and people can be quite uncompassionate towards themselves when it comes to just taking on the challenge and realising that we're all human, we all have faults and we all have bad days. When you set up a goal in whatever it is, this is where the previous videos come back and play into it. Set yourself realistic, achievable goals and set up plenty of steps on that way to get to that goal. Because if you do have a lapse, which is more than likely, it's okay, because that's maybe just one step you're taking back or two steps you're taking back. If you set up your goal, which is a two-step strategy, then unfortunately a lapse is going to be the difference between success and failure. Whereas it hasn't necessarily got to be that if you set yourself up a number of different steps to get to where you've got to get to. It's okay to take a step back sometimes. It's okay to have a shit day. It's okay to wake up in the morning and feel like crap and want to comfort yourself in some way. And maybe instead of eating healthy that day, you get a takeaway or you have some chocolate or something like that. That's okay, but at least factor that in and be compassionate to yourself, because you deserve that. Living a strict regimented lifestyle isn't necessarily always going to be enjoyable for you. It's not going to be enough for you, and it's certainly not going to be sustainable, because once you reach your goal, as we see a lot of time when people go on holiday, they come back from holiday after losing a stone. They've already put on a stone whilst they've been away, and they're already in that state, and then they're going backwards. Lifestyle changes can be quite fun and enjoyable. You find something that works for you. Just because you don't like going out for a run doesn't mean that's not the only answer to losing weight. there's lots of different things you might enjoy. It's, you know, if you're more of a social character, then maybe join a class and go and do boxing or something like that. It's something that you enjoy doing, and don't set it as just one approach either. If you want to lose weight, don't just set it as I'm just going to eat healthy. Well, let's have a look at your portion sizes. Let's look at the rest of your lifestyle as well, shall we? Let's look at how active you are during the day and work out goals that can actually be more enjoyable than just cutting out all the stuff you actually enjoy doing in the first place. I think it's really important also to put this out there to people, towards supporters of others who are going through hard changes in their life. So people who have addiction, or people that are going through mental health issues, and they're fortunate enough to have people around them who love them, who want to support their change. It's very easy for the supporter to get consumed within all of that. As a supporter of someone that's going through something really tough at that time, please know this, and please do this, and take the burden off yourself as being responsible for that person's change. You are not responsible for that person's change. All that you're responsible for is yourself, and the only thing that you can do is to be there for that person that is struggling. You have to be there for them if that's what you feel, but also you're going to need some amazing qualities as well. You're going to need compassion, you know, you're going to need patience, and you need to be encouraging to them, and you're also going to need to be forgiving. And that's one of the big things for me. The people that I've worked with in addiction, they'd come to me in sessions and say they slipped up, they felt like shit, and then they're double punished, not just by themselves, but by their family members for slipping up, and it really puts them much further down than they're already feeling. Believe me, when someone slips up as a result of whatever it is, as I say, people are going to have bad days. It feels like shit for you to watch someone that you love struggling and to be going through a bad time. But believe me, a lapse for somebody who's really been working hard towards something, that feels fucking far worse for them, and they certainly do not need someone else to be putting them down further than they're already putting themselves down. As a supporter as well, there's a term called degrees of separation. So if you're a supporter of someone that you love and you're the first in line for their support, you're consuming so much of that experience for yourself. So that person is experiencing 100% of their situation. As a supporter and loved one, you know, you're potentially you're the next in line, and you're consuming about 75% of that as well, potentially. It comes to the point where you realise you have to have support for yourself. You need to be making sure that you're taking care of yourself, looking after yourself, and that you have people around you that you can turn to get that extra support for yourself. Because if you're at about 75% of that situation, then the next person outside that situation who doesn't know that person that you're supporting so well, then they'll be taking on a bit of your shit as well. But there's a good chance there that they're not going to be consuming half as much as what you're consuming, because you're in there, and then therefore their degree of separation is more. But you need to turn to someone that is separated from that experience, so that you know that you've got someone that you can turn to, so you don't feel like you're burdening that person, because you're not. And you need to make sure that you've got people that love you, and to be kind to yourself and the person that you're supporting. It takes a lot to support someone that's going through a really difficult time. It takes so much more for someone to be going through that change themselves. Thank you for listening for the last 3 videos on change. I hope they've paid some sort of benefit for you. Just remember to take small steps, plan the changes you're going to make, and realise that you cannot change everything that happens to you in your life, but you certainly have a choice in how you respond to those changes. All the best. Bye-bye.